I'm storyteller and author Pleasant DeSpain, and you have a wonderful imagination. Welcome to Pleasant Journeys. My story for today is called The Emerald Lizard. It's from Guatemala. It's found in my Latin American collection, The Emerald Lizard, 15 Latin American Tales to Tell, both in English and in Spanish. It was way back in the early 1600s that a priest named Brother Pedro San Joseph de Bethencourt lived in Santiago, Guatemala. And the natives, well, they loved him. They thought he had the heart of an angel, and they whispered among themselves that he could do miracles. One day, on a dusty road, late in a hot afternoon, a young man, a poor man named Juan, approached the good Brother Pedro, and he said, "I have such trouble." Well, what is going on?" asked the priest. "It's my wife. She is sick and she needs medicine. And the doctor says without medicine she will die. I have no money for medicine." "Oh," thought the priest, who had no money of his own. "I wish I could help." But suddenly, a small green lizard darted across the road, and the priest was quick. He reached down, snatched it up, and held that wriggling creature right next to his heart for a moment. He took a few breaths, and then he handed the lizard to Juan, who received it and was astonished. The lizard had turned into solid emerald. Oh, he thanked the priest profusely. Then he ran into the city. He found a willing merchant right away to buy it. And with that money, he bought the medicine, he bought food, and he bought 3 cows. Fortunately, his wife soon improved, and then Juan began working with the cattle, and year after year he prospered. And so it was that many years later, with a fat purse on his belt, he went back into that city. He found the merchant who had purchased the emerald, and he said, "I would like to buy it back." "Oh, no," said the merchant. "Why, this emerald is not for sale. It brings me too much luck." "Well, today is your lucky day," said Juan, and he counted out 10 times the amount that he had received for the emerald all those years before. The merchant smiled and said, "The emerald is yours, my friend." Then Juan went in search of Brother Pedro, who had retired some years before. It took him a few weeks before he finally found him far out in the country, living in a small, poor house. Oh, but it was clean, it was decent. And when he met the good brother, why, Brother Pedro recognized Juan immediately. "Ah," he said, "you're just in time for my midday meal. Come in. Oh, and they enjoyed a meal of vegetable stew, and next to the stew there was a loaf of dark bread. "Well, tell me all about it," said the priest. Juan told him how he had prospered, how well he and his wife and children had lived. And he said, "Good Father, I have come to repay a gift, one that you gave me so many years ago." And he slowly unwrapped the emerald and set the lizard next to the loaf of dark bread. And the sunlight streaming in through the window caused the emerald to shimmer. Oh, yes, said the priest. I remember well. This is so generous on your part, so thoughtful, so loving one. Thank you. I so appreciate it. And then the priest picked up the emerald and held it close to his heart. He took 2 or 3 breaths, and then he set it down on the floor, and the lizard snapped right back to life and scurried out through the open door. I fell into conversation with a Guatemalan priest on a flight from Guatemala City to Los Angeles back in 1994. And he asked me if I knew of all of the stories of Brother Pedros and Joseph de Bethencourt, but I hadn't heard of them. I didn't know them. And so he told me this story in a whispered voice. And he explained that the good Brother Pedro is still revered throughout Guatemala. Now, the Spanish priest died in 1667 and was entombed at St. Francis Church in Santiago, Guatemala. I hope you like that story. It's one of my favorites. And if you would be so kind as to like this young channel to help these stories go further throughout the world, I would so appreciate you. And not only a like, but if you would subscribe, even better. And if you leave a comment, not only will I read it, but I will respond if I can. And below is my website. And on my website are all of my books with a direct link with each one of them to Amazon.com. There are so many stories yet to be told. Another story to tell next week.